There's so much power in words, especially the words that we tell ourselves. You know, you've probably heard the quote from Henry Ford when he said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. There's a book that was written many years ago by a woman by the name of Mamie McCullough. The title of it is If I Can, You Can Too. I want to share with you a little bit of information about Mamie. She grew up many years ago in the Deep South as the daughter of a white sharecropper. Now, from the economic standpoint and the social standpoint, white sharecroppers were really at the bottom of the pecking order. And there was no expectation that Mamie would ever achieve much in life, no expectation that she would go on to college. Just the fact that she was going to finish high school was an incredible accomplishment in her family and in her community. But she had a high school teacher who saw something in Mamie that nobody else saw, something that Mamie didn't see in herself. And so, with a great deal of prodding from this high school teacher, Mamie was ultimately accepted at a university in Georgia. And this teacher had arranged for her to live with a professor there that she knew. And when Mamie left for the university, she had 3 dresses that had been made out of flour sacks. When she arrived on campus, she just simply didn't fit in. She didn't fit in socially. You know, her clothes certainly didn't look like any of the other girls on campus. And she just didn't see how this was going to work. And she really thought seriously about just dropping out and going home. It felt like it was more than she could handle. But this amazing high school teacher had stayed in touch and had recruited some other support at the university. And ultimately, Mamie stayed, and Mamie graduated as a new teacher. Her first teaching assignment was in a school that was filled with very, very poor students. They were poor economically, but even more, as Mamie had been, they were poor in confidence and poor in their capacity to even imagine who they could become. As the year progressed, Mamie became increasingly frustrated. She tried to inspire her students. She tried to teach them that they had the capacity to do more, to be better students, to learn more. And it wasn't working. She got really tired of hearing, "I can't." And so she spent probably several weeks going through magazines and cutting out pictures of eyes. And then she told her students that they needed to bring a can to school the next day. Most of the students brought a soup can or a vegetable can. You know, there were a few tuna cans or Vienna sausage cans, and a couple of the smart alecky boys even brought in garbage cans. So there was an assortment of cans. Well, then Mamie handed out eyes, pictures of eyes. And she had her students tape these pictures of an eye on their can. And she looked at them and she said, "You now have an I can. Until you can show me an I can't, I don't want to hear it." She changed the culture of a classroom. She changed the culture of a school. And as her story became well known, She changed the culture for thousands and thousands of children and adults who heard their story. So, why do I share this with you? What is it that you are telling yourself you can't do? Many of you have heard me say, I can't do technology. I was born before the technology gene came standard in our DNA. It's a great line. People relate to it. They chuckle at it. My kids roll their eyes, but so what else is new? But here's the cruel thing that I'm doing to myself. Every time I say that, I'm telling myself that I can't do technology. And so, what happens when I try to do technology? I throw up my hands and I go, I can't. Now, how does that serve me? What lesson am I teaching myself in the process of doing that? You know, one of the things that I discovered years ago, well, not that many years ago, but a few years ago, is the importance of keeping commitments to myself. Because when I keep commitments to myself, I reinforce the fact that I trust myself. When I don't keep commitments to myself, I'm telling myself that I'm not trustworthy. And what kind of a message is that for me to send to myself or you to send to yourself? And so, as I would apply this to technology, I would take a little tiny bit of something that I needed to do, and I would say, I'm not going to focus on the technology. I'm going to make a commitment to myself that I will do it. And I will focus on the commitment to myself. And as I made that pivot, it worked. But guess what? I still kept being a smart mouth and saying, I was born before the technology gene came standard in our DNA. I wasn't serving myself. And so, as I started thinking about Mamie this morning, and I honestly don't know quite why she came to the top of my consciousness, other than the fact that it was time for me to share this story with you, but even more important, to remind myself of the power that words have, not only to impact other people, but to impact ourselves. And so, join with me as I renew my dedication to take I can't out of my vocabulary and take all of its cousins and its sisters and, you know, all of the friends that hang out with I can't, and to just simply lose them and to embrace the fact that I can. Yes, there are some things that are more challenging, but hey, I've done lots of things that were challenging. You've done lots of things that are challenging. What is it time for you to embrace that you can do? You know, life is a grand adventure. Let's focus on all of the things that we can do and gradually expand our repertoire and our confidence that whatever lies ahead, that whatever opportunities are there, that we're going to embrace them wholeheartedly because we can do it. Thanks for listening. Talk to you again soon.